Have you ever had one of those days where nothing particularly bad happened, but by the time you get home, you feel completely empty? Maybe you went to dinner with friends. Maybe you spent the whole day talking with coworkers. Maybe you were surrounded by people you actually like. And yet, the moment you close your front door, you feel like you have nothing left. No motivation, no energy, no desire to talk to anyone. So what do? You sit down, you pick up your phone, and somehow 10 minutes becomes an hour becomes 3. You're tired, you should sleep, but something inside you refuses to stop. Why? Because sometimes your brain is not looking for entertainment. It is looking for ownership. Think about what happened during the day. How many times did you adjust your words because you were worried about someone else's reaction? How many times did you hide your real opinion to avoid making things uncomfortable? How many times did you listen to someone else's problems while ignoring your own? The problem is not that you talk to people. The problem is that for hours, your attention was constantly pointed outward. And when the day finally ends, your mind tries to take back a small piece of space that belonged to you. This is why some people don't actually need more sleep after socializing. They need recovery. They need silence. They need to feel like themselves again. And if you recognize this pattern, stay with me, because today we're going to talk about something most people never learn: how to protect your social energy without becoming cold, distant, or selfish. I call it the energy budget system. Most people don't become exhausted because they don't care about others. They become exhausted because they care too much without knowing where to stop. Think about the person you have slowly become. You are the reliable one, the person people call when they need help, the person who keeps conversations alive, the person who notices when someone feels uncomfortable. You probably learned this behavior early. Maybe you were praised for being mature. Maybe people called you thoughtful. Maybe being easy to deal with became part of your identity. And at first, it felt good. Being needed feels meaningful. Being liked feels safe. But there is a hidden problem. When you become the person who always understands everyone, people often forget that you also need understanding. You start saying yes when you actually mean no. You start explaining yourself when you don't need permission. You start carrying emotions that were never yours to carry. And slowly, something strange happens. You begin protecting everyone else's comfort while sacrificing your own. Your attention is limited. Your emotional capacity is limited. Your time is limited. You only have a certain amount of energy every day. The question is not, can I give more? The real question is, where is my energy going? Because if you never check your energy spending, you can accidentally build a life where everyone has access to you, except yourself. Imagine your emotional energy works like money. Every day you receive a certain amount. You spend it. You invest it. Sometimes you waste it, and sometimes you spend it on things that actually make you richer. This is your personal energy economy. To understand it, you need to look at 3 categories. Category 1, energy investments. These are the relationships that give something back. After spending time with these people, you feel more like yourself. You don't need to perform. You don't need to impress them. You don't need to carefully calculate every sentence. You can simply exist. Maybe you talk deeply, maybe you laugh, maybe you sit quietly together, but afterward, your mind feels clearer. These relationships are investments. They don't just consume your energy, they improve it. Category 2, energy expenses. These are normal relationships. Not every interaction needs to recharge you. Some relationships are simply part of life. A coworker, a neighbor, a professional connection. They may not inspire you, but they also don't leave you emotionally exhausted. The goal is not to eliminate all energy expenses. The goal is to understand them. Category 3, energy debt. This is where many people struggle. These are situations where you repeatedly give more than you receive. You constantly listen. You constantly support. You constantly adjust. But when you need something, there is nobody there. Maybe it is someone who only contacts you when they have problems. Maybe it is a relationship where you always apologize first. Maybe it is a situation where you feel responsible for another person's emotions. The problem is not helping people. Helping people is human. The problem is living permanently in emotional debt. When you review your own life honestly, you may discover something uncomfortable. Some people are receiving the best version of your energy, while the people who truly care about you receive whatever is left. And sometimes you are giving everyone else your attention while giving yourself almost nothing. Now comes the practical part. How do you change this? Do you suddenly disappear? Do you cut everyone off? No. Healthy boundaries are not walls. They are doors. And you decide who gets access. Here are 3 ways to rebuild your boundaries. Strategy 1. Stop being instantly available. One of the biggest problems today is that technology created the illusion that everyone deserves immediate access to us. A message arrives, a notification appears, and your brain immediately says, "I need to respond." But you don't. You have permission to pause. Not every message needs an instant answer. Not every problem needs your immediate emotional involvement. Create a little space. Maybe you reply later. Maybe you respond when you actually have the mental capacity. You are not ignoring people. You are simply teaching them. My time has a place in my life too. Strategy 2. Stop carrying other people's emotions. Here is a simple test. When someone shares a problem with you, ask yourself, am I supporting them? Or am I absorbing them? There is a difference. Supporting means, I care about what you're experiencing. Absorbing means, I now feel responsible for fixing what you feel. You can be compassionate without becoming emotionally responsible for everyone. Sometimes the healthiest response is not a perfect solution. Sometimes it is simply, that sounds really difficult. I hope things improve. You can care without carrying. Strategy 3. Create protected time. Some relationships cannot disappear. Family, clients, coworkers, important responsibilities. For these situations, create boundaries around your energy. Maybe you decide, I will deal with these conversations during specific hours. I will not let this problem occupy my entire evening. Your life should not become a constant reaction to other people's needs. Your calendar should represent your priorities, not everyone else's expectations. Now let's talk about the hardest part, the guilt. Because when you start changing, you may feel uncomfortable. You may think, am I becoming a worse person? Am I disappointing people? Will they think I don't care anymore? This feeling is normal because many people were taught that kindness means unlimited access. But that is not kindness. That is exhaustion disguised as kindness. Real kindness requires choice. Because when you give from an empty place, eventually you don't become more loving. You become resentful. You become tired. You become someone who secretly wishes people would stop asking. Protecting your energy is not about caring less. It is about caring in a healthier way. The people who truly value you will not disappear because you have boundaries. In fact, many healthy relationships become stronger because of them. Because respect begins with the standards you set for yourself. If you constantly tell the world, my needs don't matter, people will eventually believe you. But when you start saying, my time matters, my attention matters, my peace matters, your entire relationship with the world begins to change. Not because you became colder, because you finally included yourself in your own life. So, here is a question for you. Where is your energy going? Who receives the best version of you? And who only receives what remains after everyone else is finished? Take a moment and think about that. If someone came to your mind while watching this, someone who constantly leaves you feeling drained, write energy reset in the comments. Not as an accusation, not as anger, just as a reminder. Your energy deserves your attention. If this video helped you see your relationships differently, share it with someone who always gives too much and forgets themselves. I also created a simple worksheet called The Energy Budget Audit, a personal guide to rebuilding your boundaries. It will help you identify where your energy is going and where you want it to go instead. Remember, your energy is not unlimited, your attention is not free, and your life should include you. See you in the next video.